if you've ever farted on a guy's lap, you know, I can relate. Hi guys, I'm here talking to you about poop. Okay, maybe not poop, but like stomach stuff. I posted a couple of little clippies on my Instagram stories about being diagnosed with IBS, and I realized I've never really like talked to you guys about that, and I know why. The reason I haven't ever really talked about it is because I feel like IBS can be a catch-all for things like that doctors don't know what's wrong with you, so they'll diagnose you with IBS, similar to like chronic fatigue syndrome. And I'm like really reluctant about stuff like that because my mom went undiagnosed with Cushing's disease for like 8 years because people kept telling her, her doctor kept telling her that she had chronic fatigue syndrome and depression. And it turns out she actually had a small brain tumor that was causing like terrible things in her body. And it took me many months of research and having to tell doctors the right tests to run because it's a rare disease and no one knew like how to even diagnose it. And finally we got her to U of M and got her diagnosis and all that fun stuff. So I have a little bit of skepticism, not in the medical profession in general, but for stuff like, hi, you have IBS. It's because I probably have something else going on and you just don't know what it is without going in and scoping me, which is fine. They have offered to do like a colonoscopy or I think an EGD maybe at one point that was mentioned, but it's not really something that I feel that strongly about. Like I need to do that and I need to know like what my colon looks like at this point. Maybe if it gets worse, I will do that. But I wanted to read you the definition of IBS. According to Google, the word IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, which is what IBS stands for, is a widespread condition involving recurrent abdominal pain and diarrhea or constipation, often associated with stress, depression, anxiety, or previous intestinal infection. The latter part I actually did not know. I do not think mine is related to any of those things, although who knows, that could be wrong. I have a lot less anxiety in my life than I used to. I do have stress, but I feel like my IBS is pretty regular, whether I'm stressed or anxious. So I don't know. That's another reason that I kind of feel like it's a catch-all. But anyway, so I have struggled with IBS for probably, well, that I can remember, I bet like 10 years. So before weight loss surgery, and then I do feel like it's worse after weight loss surgery. And I feel like after weight loss surgery, because I'm more conscientious of what I eat and track more things that I put in my body, I can kind of figure out the things that really make it bad. So like I do have gluten issues. I've talked about that a ton. And by gluten issues, I mean, so certain glutens like wheat, bread, those kinds of things, those will just like give me like bloating and gas. And then I have things like beer and soy sauce. If I have either of those things, like I'm instantly basically ill, cramping, and needing to use the restroom. So I don't always like, I don't have diarrhea every day. I'm not constipated constantly. I'm sort of regular. Honestly, I'm rarely constipated. So that's not really something that I struggle with, or I guess, I mean, just TMI, but like hard stools aren't something that I struggle with. But I do struggle with daily cramping. Usually the first meal of the day, I start cramping within usually an hour, but it's oftentimes like a half an hour or less that I will just like instantly start cramping and usually have to use the restroom. It depends. If I eat small amounts of food before I eat my lunch, it actually is a little bit better. So it's like my stomach needs to like ease into it. So that is a struggle, especially depending on where you are, what you're doing. I do feel like if I'm doing something like important, my like fight or flight or my adrenaline or whatever stress hormones will kick in and override those cramps, like if I'm lucky. But I did like a presentation sort of demo for some people at work yesterday in a meeting. And I was just sitting there, and it was a pretty casual meeting, but I was like terrified that I was going to get these stomach cramps all of a sudden, because you'll be sitting there and depending on how bad they are, all of a sudden you they're as bad, they can be as bad as like having a baby contractions, maybe even worse. And I'm like instantly like writhing in pain, but you have to like stand there and not look like you're gonna die. So that's like the worst end of the spectrum. And then usually following that is like, but not immediately. So I don't just get to like immediately go to the toilet and like be okay. I a lot of times will just sit there and then nothing will happen, but I'll still keep getting these waves of like terrible cramps. And then sometimes I can actually go and like alleviate that. And then it comes back like in a half an hour, and then the same thing happens all over again. And then I'll be okay for the rest of the day. And then the next day I'll be fine. And then the day after that, I'll be like the whole thing over again. So I don't have any like super great tips for you guys, except that I have found that this often correlates with my cycle. So, I don't like to take a lot of Motrin, but I will take, excuse me, my back is hurting a little sitting in that position. So I will take Motrin, even if I'm not like necessarily cramping. I will take it to like help with the stomach issues. It does help with the cramps. I think I have endometriosis. I personally believe, and I say it almost every time I see my gynecologist for my yearly exam, that my cycle directly correlates with my IBS. He has never like really like justified that for me, but we all know our own bodies, and I just know. It's like you just know what your cycle brings. Everyone's cycle does a different thing or does nothing maybe for some people, but like mine brings cramps and sensitivities to foods. Like if I eat, like I can get away with eating a little bit of like bread or wheat typically, and I'll just get like bloating and a little bit of gas maybe. But like during my cycle, my time of the month, I will totally get like the huge terrible cramps and like diarrhea. And then in the middle of my cycle too is like probably actually my worst time. And I think I take birth control for my endometriosis, but like I still ovulate. So at least I think I do, and my doctor said that is possible. So that's a really hard time in the month for me. I like get cramping and then like get the whole thing with the regular menstrual type or ovulation type cramping, and then I get the diarrhea and the stomach stuff too. So stomach aches aren't as common. I mean, like I don't really like just have a stomach ache all the time, but like the cramping is hugely common. Like it's very rare for me to go an entire day without having stomach cramps. So, and I've learned to live with it. And I don't think it's always been like this. Like sometimes I'm like, have I lived like this my whole life? I don't think so. I do think like the stomach surgery did worsen it. I don't think it caused the problem, since I think like as the title indicates, it's in your bowel. But I mean, who's to say? Like things do get changed down there. Definitely digestion things have changed, and so maybe that is affecting it. Would I not have the surgery because of it? Heck no. Like it's a trade-off, if that is the cause of it anyway. And I'm still very thankful for my surgery, but it's just like, it's a struggle, and it's daily. Like, am I gonna have issues? Like, if say I'm dating someone and I'm at his house, am I gonna have to like let out a really stinky fart? Like that's totally embarrassing, and that's not something that I want to happen. And there'll be times when I've had like more than one time where I don't even know there's like gas in there. This is like almost daily too. Like I don't even like realize like there's gas built up in there. And it's happened with my coworkers probably the most, and I'm sure my friends have experienced, like I'll just laugh and like a fart pops out, like not stinky one, like just like a tick, but everyone heard it. I mean, it was just like, I don't know, a little noise, but like everyone heard it because it was probably quiet, and then like we're dying laughing. But like I've been around guys and had it happen like more than once. Oh gosh, story time. I was dating an ex, and the night that we met, like he was like flirting with me, and he like sat me on his lap, and I remember that I stood up and like let a fart. Actually, I didn't remember that it happened. I was like, we were like in a loud place and I figured like he didn't notice, but then like thinking back, like, yeah, he felt it on his leg. And I got up and just like walked away, watched the bathroom, whatever I was doing. And later on, he like brought it up to me and we were dating and said like, yeah, like the first night I met you, you farted on my leg. I was like, well, you still wanted to date me. And then I had another time where I was like sitting on the couch with this guy and we were watching a movie and I don't know, like I shifted or something and totally like farted. And again, it wasn't loud and I feel like in my head I could like cover it up to like be something else, but ultimately like he's a guy, he probably knows that I just farted. And it wasn't stinky, thankfully neither of them were stinky. But major embarrassment. It does affect my life. I do feel like it has been debilitating in some ways. I mean, I've never really like canceled plans because of it, but there's definitely been times where I'm out and I feel like junk because of it. And I will like, there's very few things that I will like cancel for, so it would have to be really bad, but it can be bad. And yeah, I don't know. It's an embarrassing thing to live with, and if you've ever had it, like I've been at family members' houses and like had to go to the bathroom and it's like, I'm sorry, like a TMI again, leaves terrible stench in their bathroom, but I'm sharing because not everyone's gonna tell you this, not everyone's gonna share this with you. And I know some of my girls and my guys out there like have experienced this and you wanna know that you are not alone, so we'll just talk about Emily in the bathroom. I've driven my kids out of the room, you know, all this stuff. So it's not fun. IBS isn't fun. I've gotten a prescription. I don't know. It started with a D and I think it helps with cramping. I've literally never taken it. I did pick it up, but I've never taken that because I just didn't want to like start taking a medication that I needed to take every day. I take enough meds, like not a ton, but I take enough and I don't really want to like add one to the list. So I'm just trying to like keep it like under control, like naturally. So that brings me to, I did start the Teamy detox, so I'm doing the skinny tea in the mornings, and then I just started doing, I've been doing that for like a week or two, and then I just started doing the colon tea last night, and I do think it's already working. Like I already feel like, I like went right after I drank it, and it's nice. It's plant-based, they're good stuff, so there's a link below, and then my discount code is EmilyAM15 if you want to save some dollars off of, you know, anything that you purchase there. That's great, and I'm really liking them so far. So I'm hoping, and I'm going to keep you guys posted, I'm hoping that it really helps. I feel like it has helped with cramping and bloating so far, big time. And I was very skeptical of even like trying them and sharing them in general, but I ultimately like I get to control like the content that I put out. That's what I was like afraid of, is that they were gonna like push me to like, you know, talk about their teas and say things that I didn't want, which I would never do. So I, you know, that was like a little bit of pressure, and they haven't done that at all, the company itself. So I feel very much like I can tell you guys the exact truth, and so far I really like them. They're just very like herbally, like I said before. So I just do like a packet of the True Lemon, which is like crystallized lemon that you get in a packet, and you can just throw it in there and you're good to go. So yeah, just wanted to share my IBS story with you guys, and if you're suffering from that or any kind of digestion or tummy issues, I'm sorry. I feel your pain. Like I've definitely been there, and if you've ever farted on a guy's lap, you know, I can relate. And yeah, just pretend nothing happened. So far, it's been working for me. So I probably haven't really actually fooled anybody. Yeah, so if you guys like this video or like hearing about topics like such, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe below, and you know, all my info's below, so check it out. I love you guys so much. I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to keep it real.